Salvete! In today's video I'd like to share some of my thoughts connected to open centers and more specifically the open G center in of itself. When we circle back to the theory, what Ra proclaimed the G center to be is first and foremost our sense of identity. Second of all, it is of course our geometry, the actual driver or the way we're moving through all of this life. Thirdly, it's a center connected to our sense of love that we can give and receive from the world, and all the gates of, well, the Sphinx, which is the direction, as well as the gates of universal love present within the G. When we're talking about the definition of a center, one has to really consider from where this definition is coming. When we look at the G center, we can immediately see that it can be connected to the throat, it can connect to the sacral center, as well as the spleen and ego. That means when somebody is actually defined, their G is defined, that means definition comes from a center and the sense of identity is connected to this defined center or not. Take, for example, somebody with a channel 5125, meaning their sense of identity is connected to the ego, more specifically to the design of needing to be the first. The 51st gate is connected to the idea of needing excitement in life, but this excitement has to come from, breaching the next big thing, climbing the mountain, achieving something that is grand. While at the same time, the 25th gate, so the universal love and the gate of spirit actually, has to be, elevated through these actions. Therefore, the person with a defined G is their definition or their sense of identity comes from this design of wanting to achieve something, to elevate their spirit, to climb higher and higher on this imaginary, I guess you could call it, ladder that they're constantly evolving in this case. When we're switching back to the undefined centers, I'll give you an example and later come back to the G in of itself. Think about the undefined center. First and foremost, you know that the definition will come either from a transit or more specifically from the outside. Take for example an undefined ajna with, for example, a hanging gate 17. That means the ajna is undefined, however it has a dormant gate at the receiving end of 17. That means that if a person meets somebody with gate 62 in their throat, meaning the gate of detail, the channel that those two people, or the quantum of those two people make up, is the channel 6217. A person with a 62 talks about details, talks about information, talks about the knowledge that they've gathered. And while the person with gate 17 listens, they're immediately making their opinion about this subject. This is what the undefined center is. The undefined center is subject to, conditioning in quotations, because this conditioning is actually a fixed angle of receptivity. When we're talking about the dormant gate, there's a prejudice, a built-in theme, the way we're receiving something. So normally, this person has unclear thoughts, right? There is no inherent understanding. The understanding comes when there is another person that gives you the information. But this lesson from outside, not really conditioning, this lesson from outside is being pushed through the gate of opinion on your end. Therefore, no matter what information comes to you, no matter from whom it comes, it will always come through opinionated and subjective view on your end. That means that I guess there is no immunity to the propaganda in a sense of being only on the receiving end on your particular way of getting it. Thus, when we circle back to the idea of an undefined center, or undefined G in this case, we immediately can see that the idea of being defined by others, meaning that, this person will learn in accordance to what the other person is defining them. They'll learn by definition of others. Take somebody with a gate 13 in their G, meaning that their sense of identity is being a witness of the whole, of the life. The gate 13 is concerned with gathering the secrets of others. And when they meet somebody with a gate 33, they can then release those, well, secrets. So their sense of identity can come out only when the other person defines the channel, and they learn about themselves by expressing all the gathered secrets, all the gathered knowledge, or the gathered stories, because they form a channel of a witness. And then we come back to the open center, like a completely open, so meaning there's no dormant gate. In this case, somebody with an open G completely, there is a certain purity in this open G, in this open center, and that can mean any single center. Because without a dormant gate, without something to connect to on the other end, meaning that you reflect this piece of information, this lesson, this person fully. When we take somebody with an open G, in other words, what happens is that when they take somebody else's identity, they reflect that particular identity fully. This isn't reflecting the other person's ability to express those secrets, as in, for example, with gate 13 and 33. It's expressing the other person fully. That means I am somebody with an open G. So that means if I'm meeting you, I am reflecting you. I am reflecting your quirks without this fixed angle, without something for my mind or my body to hold on to. This basically translates to an open center, sifting through people, sifting through places, even sifting through even love itself. There's nothing anchoring it. There is no residue in this sense. However, this is an important observation. I think I've noticed that I've written down my thoughts on the above theme, because what Ra has been telling people when it comes to an open center means they're certainly above a theme. So when you're, for example, somebody with an open ajna, you're above the theme of fixed mental clarity. Everything that is coming your way, each new piece of information is injected and digested objectively. There is nothing to hold on to, like, for example, opinions or the knowing or the doubts or anything. There's simply the fact of receiving something, digesting, and letting it go. It's sort of like if you would try to paint something on a piece of canvas covered with hydrophobic material or layers. So you try to paint, however the paint slides off of it. Now going back to my thoughts on the Open G Center, so what does it look like? Since there's no inherent theme of identity, no inherent theme of fixation, you amplify the person and nothing else. There's no conditioning because nothing can really stay. It's above the concept of identity itself, of anything, anyone. There is no sense of being bound, for example, by nationality. There is no sense of being bound to any sort of group. You just are, and you just reflect the other person, the other, well, receiving end. There can, however, be a sort of residue, something that resonated positively while you were, well, just amplifying the other person. An aspect that feels so good that you actually can latch onto that, this good feeling, and internalize it as yours. This is akin to a flavor that you really want to keep with you. Something that was tasty, the other personality was tasty, the other person was tasty. So you think to yourself, hold up, I might actually want to use it in the future. The OpenG tastes identities akin to an actor with an unlimited access to costumes in like a big improv play. So there's so many characters to be. There's so many identities to put on. However, they can freely choose to slip in and out of them. They're wearing only those costumes, those colors, those accessories that they find subjectively preferable. There's no single role. There is an idea of identity as something available for that, just digestion. And if it's not preferable, you simply change the diet. It's like a huge buffet, and this person can just take in everything and, well, simply at the end of the day pick out what they like. Whereas a person that is with an undefined center but with hanging gates, they simply know that they like certain things, and through those certain things they might later expand. So for example, there is a person that really likes scrambled eggs, but to those scrambled eggs they can add, I don't know, like typical English breakfast, so sausages, beans, and expand onto this fixed angle of receptivity. When there's a person with an OpenG center, there's simply ingesting, there's simply trying out so many things. At the end of the day, if you like something, you'll probably come back to it. You'll probably eat that again. It means that when you meet a person, whatever the other person is putting in you, it's actually bouncing back at them. This really is sometimes hard to grasp if you're not aware of it, because when you have an OpenG, you intake the characteristics of the other person and, well, you simply give them back in a similar way. And if this person is confused, why are you using the same language? Why are you using the same phrases? Why are you joking in a similar manner that they might find odd? It's simply them looking at themselves in your mirror. Because an open center is exactly that. It's a mirror that doesn't take in the light, it just reflects it back at you. Additionally, you can really see a certain thing from an open angle, multiple actually. This is where this true wisdom comes in actuality. When you have, for example, an open head center, you see inspiration as something that is simply out there, something that you can take in, sense that it's grand, it's above you, more than you, and later spread this message without a prejudice, without this, I guess, subjective thinking that, oh, it's something so good that I really have to give it to the others. But an open center comes in without an agenda. I think that's the great word. When you have an undefined center, you have an agenda in a sense. So you're taking in something with an agenda of this hanging gate. And when there's openness, you simply just take it in and you give it back. Same with identities. When you see it like that, you don't see conditioning as something that is inherently bad. It's simply awareness of the potential gathering of knowledge in a particular way. When you have an undefined center, you just take everything in, but with a certain angle. When you have an open center, you take everything in, but it slides off of you, and you can pick out what is actually something that you like. So really, what Russ said about people being actors with open G centers is actually really great for them, because a sampling from collective means that no matter if you have a open or an completely, sorry, or no matter if you have an open or you have an undefined, means that you will get exactly the right, I guess, personalities given to you. For example, in a play, for example, on a festival or whatever. And you can later reflect on what you've been given and maybe take it with you on the next journey. I just wanted to highlight how skewed some people may perceive their undefined centers can be, and how simply realizing that what you have undefined is simply just knowing that you'll intake information in one way, and you have an open center, you will just get everything, and from that everything you can just take one thing. In any case, really looking at what you have, really looking at yourself as being able to see, to get inspired, to get to know what feels good, to, I don't know, even know emotions, it all ties back to taking everything what you can from what you're given, no matter the prejudice, no matter the angle of receptivity. It's just the fact that an open center simply allows you to get everything, a broader perspective, a broader view. And when it comes to identity, a broader view can really take the other person without really. So I'm probably going to give you a story, because I think this is the best way I can give it to you. I always liked the freaks, what society calls freaks. So people that are kind of different. They are kind of thinking illogically, thinking abstractly, thinking just outside what others would concern as normal. And what OpenG has really allowed me to do is approach them without this feeling of they are something different, they are something that I do not wish to associate myself with. It was more of, what can this person give me? Even before knowing human design, it was always like, what will I get really from this interaction with the other? Because it's interesting, this personality, this behavior is interesting. Maybe at the end of it, I'll actually know more about myself through interacting with them. Even recently, there was this person I met on my, what's it called, a festival. And he was wearing like this Arabic shekma, I think it's called. And I remembered, hold on, after being in Jordan, I actually have a similar thing. Why shouldn't I actually, why shouldn't I actually wear it? And you know what? For the past like 3 or 4 weeks, I've been regularly wearing a shekma on my head, and I was thinking, this is actually amazing. I feel really good, because I approached this guy without this thinking of he's something different. He was just an interesting personality. And at the end of the day, what I gathered from him is that I also enjoy wearing these. I used to wear it, but I was kind of unsure whether it fit me, what others would think of me. And then after it, reflecting, it's actually something that I quite enjoy. So I took this specific part of him and internalized it as mine. This is what an open center is. This is the greatest wisdom that there is in an open center. Simply approaching a specific aspect of your being with an open mind, without wanting to get something out of it. Whereas an undefined center might want to get something out of it, might want to get the definition out of it, might want to get an idea, might want to get an inspiration, publicity, just anything. And with this above theme allows you to reflect back and share with the other this exact internalized aspect without sounding like you're trying to push something on the other, without trying to, put a subjective spin on something that you've received objectively. And to that, I think that this is the most important thing, to look back at your design and really think about, if you have something open, see how you're receiving the world around you with an objective view. And when you have something undefined, to think that, okay, I am receiving the world outside of me, but with a specific angle, with something that at the end of the day will be interpreted either by the mind or the body as, well, just that, an angle, just a slither of the whole view. And with this, the lessons that are coming to us, we can really hone in on that specific angle and really get to know it. The not self is, I think, actually just purely subjective view on this angle of receptivity. It's just like focusing so hard that you miss the message in of itself. And this is where the conditioning comes in. It's internal. It's something that we only wish to see. Whereas if we look back and see that, for example, as someone with a gate 13 knows that they will gather secrets, knows that they will receive those things, and then later by sharing them with somebody with a gate 33, they just know that they will know themselves better through those secrets. And that's it. There will be no skewed opinion. There will be no prejudice, again. And I guess the vanity of it all will disappear, because you will know the lesson that you're getting. You will know the angle from which those lessons are coming into you. And with this vector, you can later on share this very specific angle that is simply tied to your journey. And with an open center, you just let everything come to you. And after that, after everything, you will be clear to share and reflect. And if the other doesn't like it, well, what to do? Tough. It's simply what you've given me, and you're receiving it back. That's all for today.